This week at Coffee and Tools, I thought I would do something that just provides everybody with a little bit of maybe some ideas, some tips and tricks, just little things that I do around my workshop. And I thought, you know, there's a lot of things that I do that people might not realize it's done for a reason, or there's some background to the situation. And it might help you when you're doing a workshop or you're laying something up. It might be something extra to think about. So this week, I thought we would just do that as a giveaway thing for, it's Christmas Eve, and it's middle of the afternoon Christmas Eve this year. So the timing is like, well, we'd like to give something back to the viewers, so thought it'd be, you know, kind of cool to just show some crazy things. One of the things I bought last year, I think it was at Lowe's, and I've really been enjoying, is this cap, because it comes with that. One of the things that gets a lot of questions about it is, why do you have lights not over the car or around the car? They're actually over here by the toolbox. Well, the reason is this. Well, watch this. When I open my toolbox, any of these drawers, the light shines directly right into the box. And the reason for that is because I always put a light, a couple of lights, whatever, right over top of my toolbox, right in front of it, in the ceiling, shining straight down. And that way, as I open each of these boxes up, like that, I can see right in the drawer, so I can see easily, you know, what I've got involved here. Another thing I did this year that I'm going to show you is a toolbox that I bought a Craftsman set years ago, and I kept the box for a while, but I finally tore the box up and got rid of it, and I'll show you what happened. So this is like the Craftsman box I bought a few years ago. This is actually from Lowe's. This is the Cobalt box, but it's the same thing. It comes with these plastic drawers. The good thing about the plastic drawers is they're all lined up, so all the tools have a spot to lay in them, and it helps to keep them organized. But I got rid of the box, and I kept just the drawers, and I'll show you how that worked out. So when I opened my toolbox up, there's my old drawer sets from the Craftsman, but they're laying inside the Craftsman roll-around toolbox drawers now, and that helps me a lot to keep everything in a nice order. And you can see right there, you know, it's all laid out rather nicely. And yeah, we're missing the 6mm. He's MIA right now, but we'll find him. He can't hide. Nah. Now, if you're setting up a shop, one of the things I always do is, every shop I've had quite a few now, I always put my compressor, such as this one here, I put it in the corner of the shop. The reason is, the corner is generally kind of a weird dead space when it comes to work, because, you know, you want your tool benches or whatever, you know, against a wall somewhere where you can sit in front of them and work at it, and you can have shelving, whatever. I've always found the corner space is really probably the best spot. So if you're ever locating an upright one like this, usually a corner area is usually the best spot to put them. It's just something that seems like it's almost done in the industry like a standard, but there's a couple of reasons for it. And one of them is, obviously, the compressor is going to take up a lot of space, and in a corner spot, it's as good a place to put it as any. I've got, you know, I guess, so we weren't recording. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So while we were messing around, I found the 6mm, so everything's in place. But let's talk too about organizing. You know, it's not just this right here, what's going on. There's another rule here. This goes back to a situation that I guess we'll talk about from my past, and I'm just going to explain it. You'll probably notice by now that I've got, you know, racing stickers and whatever all over my toolbox, from Big Daddy, Summit, and, you know, a lot of direct connection. Used to be a hot rod section of Chrysler, whatever. There's a lot of racing history in the blood. Back in the 80s, I worked in a professional race bike motorcycle shop part-time, and also went to Daytona every year for the races for the vintage classes, and that included Norton and Honda. There was a rule in that shop, though. This is not like where you just, You take a tool out, you try it, oh, it doesn't fit. You throw it down on the floor, go get another one out of the box. No, that shop, you were allowed to have up to, I believe it was 3 tools out of the box at any one time. If you even went for a 4th one, there were questions. When you were done adjusting, tightening, or installing the part on the bike, you had to return it to the box and exactly in the position it's supposed to be in. Everything was marked and it all had a home. And really, it seems kind of, you know, not very intuitive, or it seems like it's going to take more time to do that. But, you know, over a very short time, you very quickly learn that having every tool in every spot at all times in a race environment pays off. It's huge. It's huge. And it works so much more. It's just, everything goes so much smoothly because the minute you need a certain size socket, you run to the box, it's there, it's ready to go, you're ready to go. And that was something I learned, and I'm grateful to this day that I saw that and was able to learn it and use it and say, hey, from now on, only get a couple tools at a time. If I'm done with that socket, it goes back in the box. It doesn't get thrown down on the floor. And pretty soon, and I've seen guys do it. I've seen some of these backyard mechanics where they are standing on top of socket sets and trying to find the one they need. Not very professional looking. So if you want to be like a race bike or a race car environment, you only allow something like 3 tools at any time to be out of that box. Okay, another quick tip is the Sandblaster machine I've got here. They're kind of messy at times. They can be pretty filthy to deal with. So what I did with this one was I put it on a bench, you know, and then at the bottom I put it on wheels, and that way I can wheel this thing out in the garage, out of the garage, out into the driveway someplace in the open air a little bit, where it's a little bit safer to use. And that's just a quick tip. But you know, if you have one of these Sandblaster type machines, personally, I would put it on wheels so you can run it outside, because I think it's a lot safer. I end up wearing a dust mask and everything else even when I'm using this thing. Really not too impressed. Kind of looks like a Harbor Freight, but it's not. It's from Atlas. Okay, the other thing is, in the corner of the garage, near the door, is where I keep the grinding set. And again, I try to keep the grinding away from everything else I've got in the shop, so it goes right by this outside door here, as I'm just showing you, because it's just something you don't want it, you know, mixing in with the rest of your shop. So it's just a crazy tip, but like I said, that's what this is all about this week. All right, let's go on. I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but this is another crazy tip. Even though I've got Craftsman everything, toolboxes, whatever here, stacked up, I went to Harbor Freight for this because it's a really cool item. It's magnetic, so it just fits against the toolbox, and actually could have even put it up a little higher if I wanted to, but it holds my paper towels, and when I have a calamity, little mess in the garage, I can grab a paper towel. And let's face it, get that at Harbor Freight for about $20, whatever. It'll hook to any toolbox because it's just magnetic. There's really nothing special about that, but I think it's a cool tip. And it just, you know, think outside the box. I can go to Harbor Freight and get stuff for my toolbox. Cool. Another tip is I do go to yard sales and consignment shops. And if I see some of these old Craftsman type tool benches, no, they're not a great tool bench anymore, but they still make great storage for tools anyways. And they come with drawers sometimes and things. And you can pick these up a lot of times very, very cheap. I think I picked this one up for about $20. So again, just a crazy tip. Keep an eye open for something like that, and it will help in the long run for, you know, carrying tools or setting it up for something else that's not necessarily a tool bench. All right, I'm not showing you a Jeep. Well, I mean, there's a Jeep, but what I am showing is this particular unit right here. This is my favorite extension cord for my workshop. I can take this out into the driveway if I need power out there someplace, like an extension cord, but I've got, look at this, I'll close up on it a little bit. I've got 4 outlets on here and a little breaker button to protect me or whatever. And I can handle it, and this will roll up. It keeps my extension cords nice and neat. I don't have a big knotty mess of extension cord on the floor when I'm done. And it rolls out and it rolls in really quickly, really easily. It's probably it is the #1 favorite extension cord that I purchased. And if you can hear that, yes, there's a highway near me, and there's trucks on that highway with no mufflers, whatever. All right. Another item from Harbor Freight that I do like is this little guy right here. And I think I did a review on it at one time, but as a tip, you know, don't have to be Craftsman, doesn't have to say Milwaukee or something on it, or Snap-on. This is a very inexpensive cart, but you know, look at what it did. I mean, it gives me all my welding stuff is all in one spot, in one place. My helmet, my gloves, my extra rods, my clamps. It's all right there with the cables and stuff. And I can wheel that out and use it as I need it and put it away. So it's a good item, very good item to pick up if you have any kind of welding around the shop. I recently spoke with a young fellow who had put himself together a welding table, and I asked him why he didn't just go to the Harbor Freight and buy this little welding table like I've got sitting right here on the floor set up, and he didn't really have an answer for me, but he had gone through a lot of trouble to get some wooden legs and things together, build a table, put some metal on it, that sort of thing. So I asked him, well, does it have, you know, like grooves in it, or does it have the Harbor Freight type feature here where I can lift these corners up and create a 90-degree and using magnets I can hold everything in place while I weld it. And he was really shocked. The more I showed him some of the features of this little table from Harbor Freight, the more shocked he was. He was like, you know what? He says, I realize now I probably wasted a lot of money and time building a table when I could have went to Harbor Freight, and for very few dollars, you know, you can pick up a nice little welding table. I like having a welding table myself because I like to keep it away from my woodworking or anything else in the shop. So just a tip, if you do have a welding you know, system around and you're going to be using it, probably get yourself a little welding table. It'll just keep all the mess away from everything else. Gear up with coffee and tools this week. Thanks, guys. Have a Merry Christmas, and hopefully we all have a Happy New Year. Because this has been a lot of fun this year, and we'll see you soon. Over and out.